How big a result is that tonight for you after the recent run?
No, it's massive. I think to come here, the form they're on, like you look at the league table, they're a good team. So coming here, we know it'd be tough, but we'll take the point.
Tyler, does it almost feel like a victory where you came from tonight?
Not really, because obviously we get another goal disallowed by VAR. I feel like we've been unlucky this season, and but yeah, obviously it's a good point on the table, and we need to step up from here.
You were very much at the heart of the good things for Southampton tonight and in previous games. How much are you enjoying this run you've had of Premier League games?
Yeah, obviously Russell trusts me to play me, and obviously I didn't play a lot last season. But yeah, it's good to get a run of games and show people what I can do.
Flynn, how much maturity is this young man showing for his age?
It's crazy. He's getting better and better every week. I don't know how he's doing it, but yeah, he's getting better and better, and hopefully he carries on and he's gonna have some career.
I am going to come to your goal, but Tyler, I've got to ask you, where does the confidence come from?
It's just how I play in every game, no matter who I'm playing against. When I'm playing with the 18s, 21s, in our first team, I've always been like that. I don't know. Yeah.
It's just there.
Exactly.
Flynn, first ever Premier League goal. How big a moment and how important a goal?
Oh, it was unreal. What a feeling. To do it in front of the fans that have been so good this year. We know our form hasn't been great, but hopefully this is a turning point in our season.
You mentioned the word turning point. Can a result like that prove to be that moment? Is that the moment you need right now?
Yeah, 100%. As I said before, they're a top team, so to come away from home and play the way we played, I think is something we can just build on now and hopefully kick on.
Well, listen, very well done to both of you, but Tyler, especially well done to you. You are the player of the match. Right. Flynn, do the honours, although you think you should have it, don't you?
No, he's too good. He deserves all of them.
Well done to both of you.
Well done, mate.
Cheers, Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
A player of the match performance from Tyler Dibbling. Does his talking on the pitch, I think, is the phrase I would use for him. He's quite shy, doesn't want to seem to put himself forward in the interview, but he did it on the pitch and earned himself the player of the match.
When he crosses that white line, he's just a joy to watch. You know, he's got absolutely no fear, especially at that young age as well. Just, you know, especially the environment they're in. Southampton, they're struggling, but he seems to just play with the shackles are off, a free spirit. Everything that he gets the ball, it's always positive. I mean, I think we might see the clip of how he sets up the goal that was controversially disallowed, but even that sort of set a bit of skill and nutmegging and the ability to cross-field pass, he's a joy to watch.
Let's talk about that disallowed goal because, you know, as David was asking the guys, yes, it's a point away from home at a team that are now second in the Premier League, but it could have been all 3 points. So let's clear up a couple of issues here. So firstly, Cameron Archer scores the goal. They look at whether or not he was in an offside position. He's not. He's in an onside position. Although that's the second thing that they would have looked at in chronological order. They look at it first because it's factual. And if he's offside, there's no point looking at anything else. So he's onside. That's cleared up. And that one is straightforward. But they took 4.5 minutes in total to make this decision. What they're saying here is Adam Armstrong's run here is enough to distract Verbruggen and to stop him from potentially, possibly saving from the strike from Cameron Archer. Thoughts?
Well, thoughts straight away is if you're a Southampton fan, staff, player, you'd be very disappointed. I get what they're saying in terms of Armstrong's making a run and the sort of whatever his motion is, and it's a motion where the ball is behind him, so he's trying to backheel it here. He knows his run is too far in front. He's trying to backheel it. If he does get any connection to that ball, it will impact Verbruggen of where he then goes. So Verbruggen is actually waiting for some kind of connection from Fraser there. So you can see his eyes there because he's watching the ball exactly when it goes by. So it does impact Verbruggen's decision-making, I expect, until the very, very end when the ball goes in the back of the net.
It doesn't look like it's going to impact his ability to save. It doesn't look like he's going to save the shot from Cameron Archer. But as you said, it affects his ability to make the decision.
Yeah, it's an incredibly bitter pill to swallow for Southampton. I do feel for them because this epitomises the way they got back into the game. There seemed to be a real hunger and energy about the way they played, and this is, we're talking fine margins.
So these are the laws. So preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision. It wasn't as though Verbruggen's line of vision was obstructed, challenging the opponent for the ball, which didn't happen, clearly attempting to play a ball which is close when this action impacts on an opponent. So he did attempt to play the ball, he did attempt the back heel, but that wouldn't have impacted what happens next because the ball then would have been behind them, so Cameron Archer wouldn't have been in. But making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball, I think that's probably the one that they're looking at. That's what PGMOL would say would be the one that impacted Verbruggen.
Yeah, I think what makes it hard is where it's because the ball's behind him, and it's an action where Fraser's trying a flick, and it's one of them. If it comes off and it goes anywhere, I mean, if it goes in the direction of the goal, it's an unbelievable touch. But if it was in front of him and then he makes the flick, then you can see why. But I think that's why it's such a hard one to.
It is, and it's because he's offside. You know, Cameron Archer's onside. Obviously, the goal goes into the back of the net, but it's Armstrong who's marginally offside, isn't he? And that's why the decision has been given that way. But as you say, the ball's behind him. He makes an attempt to try and back heel it. It's minimal, but it's harsh.
4.5 minutes.
Yeah, it obviously took them a while to get to that decision. And if you're in that Southampton dressing room right now, it's a bitter pill.
But then, you know, emotions were so high, everything was looking so positive for Southampton. Izzy, you said it yourself, everything that they'd done right to get back into the game was sort of epitomised by Flynn Down's equaliser.
Yeah, and I think that the way that Southampton played and got back into the game, we said at half-time, you know, where was this going to come from? It actually just came from some nice play in and around the box. They had 3 attempts. It's this piece here, the cut from Manning, the sort of composure in and around the box, and it just looks like you could feel the ball was going to get into the back of the net eventually, and that's exactly what Flynn Downs did. He took it by the scruff of the neck and he blasted it into the back of the net.
Brighton do ever so well in terms of getting bodies behind the ball. First block, second block, Van Heck. It was just obviously then it falls down into Flynn Downs' path and then just rifles it into the back of the net. They'll be disappointed in the end outcome in terms of how many bodies they had between the goalkeeper and the goal scorer. But at first, it was great defending.
Few grumblings from Brighton fans as to whether or not Flynn Downs should have been on the pitch. So he was booked early on. This one was a yellow card for a foul on Danny Welbeck, and you're both happy with that being a yellow, aren't you?
Of course, yeah. Brighton were in the ascendance of an attack. It's a tactical foul, but then I think it's the persistent fouling, and I think this is what led to the two dugouts having a collision, a bit of a scuffle on the side, because it happened again and again, and they was asking.
5 fouls for
Russell
Flynn
Martin
Downs.
actually
Exactly.
protected him in the end. He brought him off. He subbed him off at the pitch, and I think, you know, partly bring new energy into the midfield, but also I think he knew that going down to 10 would have been really difficult for them to stay in the game.
Was there enough in any of those 5 fouls for him to earn either a yellow for one of the fouls or a yellow for persistent fouling?
More persistent, not individually. I don't think any of them really warranted.
The first one was really bad down the Achilles of Welbeck, but the second two we didn't think that. But Tyler Dibbling, he had his fair share of fouls received today, so I think the referee in general, the way he let the game, you know, go as much as he could. I know a red card probably would have ruined the game, granted if it's worthy, of course. But fundamentally, I think both sides took their fair share of hits today.
It was a really good first half from Southampton, particularly given what happened, really good second half rather from Southampton, particularly what had happened in the first half, where Brighton, without being spectacular, were very much on top.
In full control, you know, but they earned the right to pick and choose when they wanted to attack, whether it was going to go down the flanks and wide and get crosses in, and you know, this was the goal from Matoma, and is, you know, an area that he exploited. You know, you see him at the top of the pitch there with Sugawara, that Sugawara sort of checks him, he's inside, it's not a problem, and then you can see as the play builds up, we see centre of the pitch with Danny Welbeck, he just goes to make a run outside, and that just leaves that it ends up being a big gap, but you switch off as a fullback, you've got no chance of making it up.
Yeah, Howard Bellis just, you know, the centre of the back 5, you know, in that middle position inside the 18-yard box, he gets drawn towards Danny Welbeck, which allows the ball to bounce in the box, and you can't take anything away from the finish from Matoma. It's excellent.
Yeah.
What did you make of the performance of Brighton over the 90 minutes, Steve? How would you assess it for a team that have just earned a point to go into second place in the table, but they did it at home to a side who are bottom and have struggled all season?
Well, the first half, I thought they was in full control, full ascendancy. I didn't think Southampton really posed a threat. The odd one, half a chance on the right-hand side. And then you think in second half, just get the second goal, and then still maintain and keep control. But Southampton, I think with them, their first form of defence is to attack, and that's what put Brighton on the back foot, and they couldn't really recover from that, even though the array of talent and the players they've got and how well they played first half. Games ebb and flow, swing and change, and at the moment, in that moment, Southampton just got a bit more a grip of the game, and I think actually they scored at the right time, because Southampton were just sort of slipping away from the game more so in the second half. So goals change games, moments change games, and fortunately enough tonight it was for Southampton.
Joins us here pitch side. Russell, what were the frustrations in that game for you?
Well, I think in the first half we lacked a little bit of aggression and a little bit of belief, I think, after going a goal behind, and so I just asked the players for a bit more aggression, a bit more belief in what they're doing, a bit more conviction in certain actions, and I thought they were brilliant, really brilliant in the second half. I thought we were fine in the first half. We played some really good stuff, hurt them a bit, but they had too many moments, really. And then a decision, obviously, late on, and I just fed up with talking about the decision. I just don't want to be that guy, but I feel like it's a brilliant goal. It's a really well-worked goal, and yeah, the reason we've been given, and I respect how difficult the referee and assistant referee's decision is on the pitch. So I understand them maybe getting it wrong, because in the heat of the moment there's so much going on, it's really difficult. But then I really struggle to accept that, because of the on-pitch decision holds a lot of weight, and it's not really clear and obvious, when I think it is, because I've been told it affects the goalkeeper, Adam Armstrong's run.
Let's take a look at it while you're talking.
I've seen it a lot already. I'm not sure.
I bet you have. Yeah. I think your analysts will have taken a good few looks at this as well.
I've had a few messages about it as well.
So they're saying that Adam Armstrong is in an offside position, and that he's affecting Verbruggen's ability to make a decision.
Yeah, so we were told it was affecting Van Heck's ability to get the ball, which it doesn't.
No.
The ball goes behind Adam, and if Adam's run had moved Verbruggen at all from his position to like deal with Armour, I would understand the decision, but he hasn't. He hasn't moved. The ball goes behind Adam. And I can't see how it's affected the goalkeeper. I really can't. He actually takes a step this way away from Adam. So, for me, in understanding the game and playing a lot, the interpretation, and this is the point of VAR. I would rather the guy makes a mistake on the pitch, and we can all go no problem afterwards. But when they take so much time to look at it, in the same way we had a penalty decision against us on Sunday at 2-1 up with Adam Armstrong, which I still think is a penalty, and me and Howard will argue for ages about it, which we have. This is like a problem when you have so much time to look at it. The interpretation is so subjective still, so it's still human error in my opinion, because they watch it and they make a mistake. And now the mistake it's not clear and obvious enough to correct. So even if it's what I'm saying is right, which I think it is, and people who have played the game probably understand it, now it's not clear and obvious enough to correct, because the on-field decision carries weight. So I'm annoyed about it, as you can probably tell. I'm frustrated. I think anyone would be. But I'm really happy with the performance, and I'm really proud of my players.
But this is the thing. Without that decision, this is a point away from home against a side who've just gone second in the Premier League. Yeah,
I think there's so much to be positive about, as there was on Sunday playing against the team at the top of the league. We feel like we've been so close too many times. We should have more points than we have. The guys are so brave the way we play, the way we're asking them to play. There are mistakes at times, but sometimes the goal comes from us building up. The second goal comes from us building up. They really, honestly, they are such a brilliant group to work with. They're young. The man of the match is 18 years old. They're growing all the time. They're so with us. Now, hopefully tonight will give them a little bit more belief in what they're doing. And I really believe at some point the results will change, and they'll get what they deserve.
Russell, you say you think you should have more points than what you have at the moment. What's the process going forward to get that? Because people would say keeping clean sheets is imperative, but your first thought of defence is to attack, really, because even today you was committing numbers forward against Liverpool. You're still committing numbers forward, so it's always on the front foot.
I think you have to accept, if you're a team getting promoted, you have to give something up at some point. So for us, we don't want to give up trying to dominate the ball as much as we can. It's tough when you go away from home at a really good team like this, play against Liverpool on Sunday. But for us, it's what makes us us, to try and be as good and clean with the ball in the build-up as we possibly can. But we lacked a bit of punch and creativity, so we've gone two strikers up front, and we scored two really good goals, and a penalty and a good goal on Sunday, and tonight we look a real threat. And then maybe it makes us a bit more vulnerable at times when we lose the ball, because we've got two players high, but it's not in my character to just defend and try and keep a clean sheet and then maybe steal a goal or whatever. I want to watch a team I feel joy watching and feel proud of and feel gratitude, and I just don't want to cross my fingers at watching us defend for a long time, because you are reliant on people being really brilliant in the opposition, not being. And in the Premier League, everyone has someone that can create something out of nothing. So I think we're trying to find a balance still, and we've lost too many points late on in games through game management. Tonight the boys managed the game better. We went a bit longer late on when it was like they brought a lot of players on, fresh legs with energy at the top end of the pitch, so their press is aggressive. So I think it's just keep trying to work with the boys and keep making them better as much as we can.
On the way that you play, obviously everything starts with your goalkeeper. You changed your goalkeeper today with Joe Lumley coming in. I mean, from the way I saw the game, it seemed like you had a really nice variation in the types of build-up phases you had. So you were playing short, you were playing into midfield, you were also playing long when it was necessary to in the game. Is that something you asked of him before the game? Has he shown that in training? What was his thought process?
So I think we had a period of 2 or 3 games where we lost our way a bit with build-up and trying to dominate the ball, and we made decisions a little bit through fear when we went ahead especially, and it changed. So we made a really conscious decision with the guys, and the players were involved in that. We went away to Man City and, we asked the players, what do you want to be? Like, this has got us this far. And they made a really brilliant, conscious decision to try and be as brave as possible. And at Man City, they played some brilliant football, gave them a lot of belief in what they're doing. And they've carried that on, and I'm really proud of them for that. It's not easy. And it's about the structure changed a lot tonight as well. Jack went into midfield, then he came out. And I was saying to Gilly, the assistant manager, before the game, it's like the players are so adaptable now. Whatever we try and tweak for them on the pitch, they understand it's to try and help them. It's not always going to work, but they can do it in a 2, in a 3, in a 4, sometimes in a build, with a goalkeeper involved, sometimes not, a bit lower. And that's the brilliant thing about them, is because they're understanding of what they're doing. And we have to get better at it still, because there are a few scary moments, but I think you have to accept that.
Yeah.
Russell, you mentioned the player of the match award. It went to Tyler Dibbling. Talk to us about him, about the talent that he has and what he's like to work with. He's quite a shy speaker. We heard that in the interview.
He's a real introvert.
Yeah.
Last year, I think we probably sent him in for training 3 or 4 times because he's laid back and he's very... But I think we have a brilliant relationship with his parents, so they really understand the process with Ty and why we do certain things. Because I think the biggest change in him this year, because he has incredible... he has ability that I've just not seen in many people. Honestly, it's a pleasure to watch him play football physically, technically, and this bit of his game, the aggression, the intensity he plays at, the out of possession stuff, which no one will talk about because he possesses this ability, but we really trust him. And I think he needs to be in an environment where he feels really trusted and really loved, and we absolutely love him, and I think he enjoys being part of it. And the lads in the dressing room, they understand how good he can be, but you can cut some of that because we keep telling everyone how good he is, then he won't be here for very long.
I say, how pleased must you be? Because obviously last season, when you're on the ascendancy and things are going well in the Championship, it looks like you're going to get promoted. So obviously now in a tougher environment, as you say, he's in an environment where he's loved and he's getting a lot of technical, tactical now so in and around him. But it's in a place where it's a hard time, in terms of a couple of losses on the trot, then it's a draw, it's a bit stop-start, but he's just going into every game, isn't he, with just absolute, the shackles are off, he's playing with free spirit.
His best quality is that before a game against Liverpool on Sunday, half an hour before kick-off, just for a warm-up, he's lying there on his phone, relaxed, looks like he's got not a care in the world. You tell him 2 minutes to warm up, he puts his boots on and just goes out, and we have to try and keep him in that place. It's not always a straight line, and when he has a tough moment, he needs to understand how to get himself back to that place. But he is such a brave boy with the ball, and out of possession he's becoming much better. And he's so flexible as well. He can play 10, 8, wide, and he's a beautiful human, honestly a beautiful lad. We absolutely love him, and I think he feels that. And he can, it's really difficult. This is the point of trying to play this way. Is not he couldn't play if we're just grinding. Yeah. Do you know? If we were just going 5-4-1 or 4-4-2 and trying to defend first and all that stuff, Tyler wouldn't be the first name on the team sheet. So for him, it was one of my jobs when I came here, when Jason Wilcock said to me at the time, he said, we have some outstanding players, and Tyler was one that he absolutely loved and was pushing for us to play more last season, but he wasn't quite ready. And that was one of the jobs to come here, is to try and get them in the team quickly and promote them in a certain way. And it's been beautiful to watch Tyler's journey so far, and he needs to keep going.
Russell, one of the downsides of today's game is that he is one of 4 players who are going to be missing for the game against Chelsea. I mean, how much does that hurt you when you're going into particularly this run of fixtures, which looks really tough?
Yeah, it does. I think it's not like it's no disrespect to the other players in there, but Tyler's been so important. Flynn Down's the same. We've lost 2 huge players in Aaron Ramsdale and Jan Bednarek, and the guys have adapted so well to that. Will Smallbone as well, so it's been a bit unfortunate, but it's my fault. I asked for a bit more aggression at half-time and they gave it, and we end up with a few players missing, so we have to find a way to compete and try and win on Wednesday as well.
Russell, appreciate you coming out to talk to us. Thanks very much for your time. Thank you. Thanks. I'll take that and I'll take that. I don't mind either way. There.
All the best. Nice one.
Very warm hands. Mine are freezing. Look, it's what he's saying seems to be exactly what you guys have been saying about that Southampton performance, about the Southampton performances this season, in that they're there and they're coming.
Yeah.
The results are just lagging behind a little bit at the moment.
You know what? You've got to give him absolute full credit, because even there, just speaking to him 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you get a sense of real belief. And once he's in front of his players and staff, they're buying into that. You know, he's saying, I'm not going to go away of how I play, my philosophy and the way that I want my team to play, whether it's the build-up from the back. We're not going to go away from that, and we're going to stick by that. Some people say you might want a plan B to go with a plan A, but he's saying, no, this is how we're going to play. We're going to get better at it, and we're all going to believe it, and we're all going to push in the same direction.
Yeah, and there are tweaks within that rather than wholesale changes, which is why he talked about the adaptability of the players. We are going to hear now from the Brighton boss, Fabian Hurzeler, with David Craig.
Fabian, first and foremost, your reflections on that 90-plus minutes this evening.
Yeah, I think it was not the best game from us regarding intensity, regarding positional game, regarding how we act in the individual duels, and therefore we only deserve a result like this.
Did you sense, though, in the first half, with the chances that you created, this was a game that you could have put to bed there and then?
Yeah, normally we should have finished the game in the first half, but we didn't, and then you got punished.
The momentum certainly was with you in that first half. When you conceded the equaliser, did you sense a change at that moment in the momentum?
Yeah, we had to make some changes, and we tried to get an impact on the game from outside. During the season, the subs helped us a lot. Today, we didn't have that impact, but it can't be always the same in every game. So we have to keep working. We have to keep improving. I said it's a process. It takes time, and we have to keep going and improve for the next game.
It is a process, though, that tonight has taken you to second in the Premier League. So overall, what's your assessment of that process at this moment in time?
Don't focus too much on the results. Focus more on the performance. Try to improve the individual players, and then the results will come.
You said just now that there are areas that you need to improve on. You've identified that tonight. You suggested that before the game as well. Where in particular do you think tonight you could have done better, other than just put the chances away?
Yeah, how we behave against the ball, out of possession, how we press, how intense we are we ruthless enough when we are in a personal duel, are we consistent? These are all things where we can improve, and these are small details that might bring you the win, and you have to focus on small details if you want to win in the Premier League, and we didn't do it today.
If you get those small details right, I know you've said you don't want to set targets, but you are doing well. What is possible if you get the details right?
I think we shouldn't think about what is possible after tonight. We should see what the reality is. And the reality is that we have a lot of hard work to do, and we have to keep moving on, and that's what we do. No matter if it's a lose, a draw, or win, we try to analyze this and try to get better.
Just finally, football we know is an emotional game. You've picked up that yellow card. It means you have to watch from the stands at the next game. Is that frustrating?
It's not a yellow card, so I receive a yellow card, and players can foul an amount of times and don't receive a yellow card, so difficult to explain.
Appreciate.
Thanks.
Take care.
Well, we looked at a couple of those potential yellow card incidents a little bit earlier on. Fabian Hurzeler thinks his wasn't a yellow card. It did get quite fraught between the two benches at times, but there was a lot at stake there. And it's interesting that he talks in quite a similar way to Russell Martin, obviously at different ends of the table, about the process, about, this isn't always about results. This is about the players learning to do what I want them to do, and how much there is still that he wants more from them.
Yeah, I think with Brighton, they're in a really interesting position. They've missed out today on killing the game off in the first half, which would have meant they'd have, looked in a really good position in the league table in a game that they probably could have won. And I think with Brighton now, it's about what the next steps are, because they're obviously happy to then fall back on it and work on the individual and collective performances. But at what point, as in winning, and I'm talking about winning a trophy, are Brighton going to take that next step? And I'm sure that their processes will lead to that. And they've been so impressive, not just under Hurzeler, but under De Zerbi, under Graham Potter. They have such a fantastic way of recruiting and playing football. But I think tonight's an opportunity missed from them completely.
They've never finished a day, though, in the top 2 this late in the season. So it's an achievement for Brighton, and that, you know, they've made this fantastic start to the season. But there is still work to do, Steve.
There is still work to do. I mean, you look at the games that they've lost this season. I think it's 2 games, and that was against Liverpool and Chelsea. They've dropped points against Ipswich and Wolves. They've beaten both Manchester clubs. They've beaten Spurs at home as well, going obviously a goal down, 2 goals down against Spurs, come back 3-2. So there's plenty of signs of character and personality within this team. They've got individual brilliance for sure. They just need to be, I think, well, as you said there, more clinical in games where they can really see off, especially today in the first half. They dominated the first half today so much that they got the first goal. They're always on the front foot. They're always going to play attractive attacking football. In the second half, that second goal kills the game off for me. And then it's about then game management, which is what they've got, and they're still learning to do. I was down here for the Man City game when they was 2-1 up, and Belieber was running around, and James Milner's on the side screaming at him saying, get back in position. So there's still that learning that's from individuals and as a unit. But as far as the football club, where it's going in the direction, it's in a really healthy position.
When you look at the games they've got coming up, obviously Hurzeler's going to be in the stands for the next one against Fulham. And there are definitely winnable games in there for Brighton. You talked about some of the tricky games that they've had so far this season. This is a different kind of challenge, though.
Yeah, the target is on Brighton's back. They are there to get shot down by any team. They'll go into every one of these games playing football exactly the same way on the front foot, being aggressive in possession, being aggressive out of possession, trying to score goals, kill games off. They won't be feared to go into any game, home or away. You know, they've done really well here in terms of it being a fortress. They have dropped points along the way. Again, it's a learning curve for this team, but they've got a real chance of achieving probably their highest Premier League finish this season.
Well, Tyler Dibbling once again outstanding. Let's look at the equaliser for Southampton that earned them a point, and it was a first ever Premier League goal for Flynn Downs, as mentioned, for Southampton. It came in the 59th minute. Does it all start with Dibbling?
Everything starts with him, to be honest. Glenn mentioned there how he rides tackles. People were trying to chop him all the time because everything good came through him. And to be fair, they tried to get back Brighton, get bodies behind it, but look, it just falls to Downs there, and he's just clinical and ruthless. But there's Dibbling now on the ball, rides that tackle, and that's where it all starts, because then straight away Brighton are backtracking, makes that brilliant pass, powerful, cutting through. In the final third, clinical, Armstrong does what he can. But like I said there, it falls to Downs, and then he's certainly not going to miss, just puts his foot through it, and the keeper's certainly not saving it. But you're right, it started from Dibbling, who was player of the match and the best player on the pitch by a mile.
Yeah, and that finish from Downs, he was alert, he was in the right place at the right time. You said that Southampton were better in the second half. Did you feel at that point the goal was cut? Did you have a premonition?
Yeah, you can see there when they're throwing bodies in the way of a couple of shots there. I thought Brighton had almost done enough to get away with it, but it was just that third opportunity where it comes out, and like I said, puts his laces through the ball, and when he's that close to the goal, it's always going to hit the back of the net. But it had been coming throughout the half. There'd been a number of instances where Southampton were in the ascendancy in the game, and Brighton just couldn't seem to get a foothold and make anything really count going the other way.
Yeah, just roughly over 7 minutes later, Southampton thought they had the winning goal. So we're going to take you through it. It was ruled out for offside. A lot of discussion going on here amongst us. We've looked up the rules. So let's share it with you now. And I think particularly the last point is of interest here. Interfering with an opponent. A player will be penalised if they are, and let's look at the last one, making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. So here is the incident. Cameron Archer had the ball in the back of the net, but this was ruled out for offside. Let's talk through it.
Well, look, Fraser's on the ball now, and he puts that cross in, and now the argument is whether Armstrong makes the goalkeeper stand still because he thinks he's going to be reacting off this initial save here. I think it has to be offside, because I do think the goalkeeper is denied the chance to move, even though Archer's on side, and I don't think the goalkeeper would have got there. I still think from that movement there, thinking that the goalkeeper can't move to try and react for Archer's shot.
Yeah, Verbruggen's got to hold his position on the front post, and therefore it doesn't give him the opportunity to shuffle across and be able to possibly make the mistake I think as far as the rules are concerned, I think it's the right decision. Whether I personally agree with it or not, that's another story, Jules.
Well, here's what the Premier League Match Centre says on their X account. The referee's call of no goal was checked and confirmed by the VAR as Armstrong was in an offside position and deemed to be impacting on Verbruggen's ability to play the ball. And there they've got a picture in alongside it. And so Southampton thought 2-1, but it was ruled out for offside. Do you think on the balance of play overall and what we saw in the first and second half, it's a fair result?
Yes, I do. I think Brighton were the best team in the first half, and they probably had the opportunities to put the game to bed. I would say they were pretty wasteful at points. It was too easy at times in the first half for Brighton, and I said they needed to keep that energy and they needed to have that killer instinct at home with the opportunity to go outright second, should I say. And it proved not to be. Second half, I thought Southampton really rallied. Nothing to lose. They're bottom of the league. Pressure's off them. Why not have a go? And I thought the catalyst was obviously Dibbling, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's just... Like I mentioned at the start of the show, he's raw. He's raw, he's fearless. And sometimes when you're breaking into the Premier League, sometimes teams don't know about you. And I feel like now teams will be double, triple teaming up on him, stopping him. If you're going to try and foul him, you probably will foul him. So he's got to be a bit stronger as he keeps moving on. Because straight away now you get the team sheet, you're like, stop him. You stop him, you stop Southampton because the quality elsewhere isn't probably there. But he gets you into those higher positions. He got them back into the game today. And arguably, if they could have given the ball a little bit more, he might have gone on and helped them try and get the win. But he is an exceptional talent. He just needs to keep going and physically keep improving because I think teams will now start to target him and stopping him.
Yeah, he will be suspended for the next game because he was yellow carded today, and that's his 5th yellow card. We're going to go back to the Amex Stadium now because we have more post-match reaction, especially relating to that goal that was ruled as offside. Let's hear from Bart Verbruggen.
But that's a point tonight that takes you to second in the Premier League. But could it have been more than that this evening with the chances the team created?
I think so, yeah. I do also think that we need to look at ourselves and reflect to this game because I think there's loads of room for improvement after tonight. And yeah, like I said, we just need to look at it, reflect and get better at certain things.
What you're saying there, you're echoing what the manager had said, that there are times where he thinks you can be a much better team. What are those areas that you need to reflect on, do you think?
Well, it's quite early after the game, but I felt like today we couldn't really put a good pressure on them. I felt like they could play out more often than not, so I think that's something we need to look at. And for the rest, I think it's we have to look at the clips first and get the emotion out of it a little bit and then see what it really is. Certainly
in the first 45, the momentum was all with you. They get the equaliser. Did you sense there was a change of momentum then in their favour?
Yeah, a little bit maybe. Of course, they score another goal, which was offside. I think it was really close as well, offside. So, I think towards the end of the game, we got the momentum back. We did well, I think, the last, 20, 25, 30 minutes. We got chances, just couldn't get a big chance or a good shot on goal, which is, of course, hard when a team defends like that. I think they did really well in the last 20 minutes. So, like I said, we have to look at the clips and then see what we have to do better.
You mentioned the goal that they have disallowed. You're very much at the heart of that. It's given because Adam Armstrong makes a play for the ball. Did it affect your view of what was going on? It was a long VAR check, a long wait.
It was a really long check, and to be honest, I don't even know. Like, it happens so quick. Sometimes you don't see what is offside or what is not. So I don't even really know why he gave it offside. But yeah, I think we got lucky there. I think it was really close. And then I think after that moment we got the momentum back a little bit and we started to press. But unfortunately we couldn't score.
Yeah, Verbruggen also just saying it was a really long VAR check. We had debates about it. There's obviously a number of rules which we've double-checked and Premier League Match Centre has clarified that as well. Just having heard from him now and about that moment, he talked about how quickly it all happened. And I suppose that's why they were being so careful with it, because, of course, it would have been a big goal if it had stood.
Yeah, it would have been huge. It would have put Southampton back in touch and distance of Crystal Palace. I think he's probably right. He probably hasn't had time to reflect on it. When these things happen, they happen so quickly, and he probably hasn't had the written explanation of why the goal has been disallowed. all he'll be bothered about is that he picked it out and it wasn't 2-1, it was still 1-1. That's all he would care about. But you can see just on the front post there, he just makes a couple of movements with his feet and he jumps twice and he has to hold his position. Usually, on the second jump, he would move across to his left-hand side. And with Armstrong's run, it just impedes that thought process. I mean, listen, whether he would have saved it if he'd moved along the line is... who knows, because it's a wonderful finish from Archer, who put himself in that position a number of times, hadn't he, Karen?
Yeah,
and
did.
This time...
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he would have saved it, but it goes to your point. You've denied him the chance of trying because of the initial run from Armstrong. It meant there that he couldn't attempt. I still don't think he would have saved it, but we have to go by the rules. That run, Archer prevented him from trying to dive to save it because he thought it was going to him. So I think overall it was the right decision. But if you're Southampton, you're devastated because that could have been your first win. And away from home, that would have been vital for them to get 3 points, but it is what it is.
Yeah, very quickly, also Verbruggen mentioned, as we look at the Premier League table, to confirm that Brighton wins second tonight. He did mention all those chances they had in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the stats were astounding, really, particularly in the first half, as you mentioned. And I said they'll be frustrated tonight because they go first in terms of the weekend. And you look, Brighton second in the table, brilliant. But now everyone else, you've got City and Chelsea and Arsenal all hunting behind you, and Tottenham, don't want to annoy Tottenham fans. But in terms of that race, you're thinking you could have really gone and said, we've got our 3 points today. So they'll be frustrated.